I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. As much as I would like to think that I could endlessly talk about Linux, the truth of the matter is that isn't the case. Now, there's lots of other things that I am interested in, and I'm about to show you one of those today. I decided that I wanted to create my own lightsaber based off of open source hardware and software. A certain thing happened in 2020 and I had a lot more free time, so I decided, what the hell, I want to make my own lightsaber. I could have gone out there and bought a lightsaber, but Jedis don't do that. They make their own lightsabers. So that's what I wanted to do. This originally started with a bunch of Home Depot parts. This is what's remaining of my very first lightsaber that I made. There used to be a sink drain on the top that kind of has the same shape, but I'll get into that later. And the bottom is very similar to the bottom of this one, which I believe is from a sprinkler, if I recall. So I made my lightsaber. My nephew loved it, so I wanted to make him one. Right now, these Home Depot parts, when you get electronics and a bunch of random parts and put it together, you could make it work, but they don't tend to be as durable. So over time, I migrated all the electronics over to here. And these are all full metal pieces. Okay, and I'll go over where I got all these pieces from later on. But you don't have to go through this process. You could just go to Home Depot and just get parts something similar to this. All right, that's how I started. That's how I made my first lightsaber. Now, what can this thing do? I'll try to show you as best as I can with the current camera angle that I have. I mean, it does what you think a lightsaber does. Alright, blaster shots. Force lightning. And so yeah, there's a lot of features to this thing. A lot of features, like for example,
battery level 35%.
It tells you the battery level, has a music player, a bunch of stuff. So oh, that's crap, I already put away the blade. That's just one thing right here. I also have this to make sure that it doesn't blind anybody. For example, hit that a little bit. So let me do this real quick.
Enter volume menu.
I could change the volume if I wanted to.
Volume menu end.
Change color. So there's green. I can twist this to turn it off, or swing to turn it on. You could also change. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with an open source lightsaber. There's a lot of features from it. So for example, I not only have the blade doing a bunch of stuff, but I also have here we go. Just gonna do this very carefully here. One of these. Okay, so this is where the electronics are. I have them completely covered up by electrical tape because I'm paranoid. All of these wires, all this stuff. Obviously, I did not create this this board, but I soldered. I did all the wiring. I soldered everything to it. The chassis, this and the blade, the crystal, is actually 3D printed. This is 3D printed clear PLA with an LED inside that also changes color. So this is a kill key / switch that's also 3D printed. So rather than having to plug it in or unplug it, all I have to do is turn it, and it'll turn off. It'll turn off the lightsaber, so it stops it from draining battery. Turn it to turn it back on. See, and this this chassis was kind of like pieced together. So there's multiple STL files online. Those are like the 3D printing files that have, like, for example, this is one from one STL. This one right here is from another STL, and I just kind of spliced them together and then scaled them up and down so that it would fit within the actual lightsaber itself, the hilt. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of this thing. I like how it came out. And I don't know, it's just a nerdy, cool thing that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to make my own lightsaber, and it's fantastic that we're at a day and age where we can actually do that. So, now how did I do that? How did I make this lightsaber? What did I make it out of, right? Okay, so the electronics are thanks to... Hold on. This guy right here. I apologize if I'm butchering the name. It's Frederick Hubby? I'm sorry. This guy's awesome. All right, I know I'm making I'm butchering the man's name, but this dude's fucking awesome. Okay, this guy originally started with this right here. All right, and I know it looks complicated, and it is. I actually started off making out one of these. Okay, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, now this isn't a tutorial about how to make one of these things or anything like that. I'm not going to go that full in depth. This video is already going to be as long as it is, but I'm going to go ahead and show you the resources that I used to create mine. All right, now I made this thing first. All right, because I wanted to at least start from the very beginning. Again, pure open source. I bought a teensy board. I bought the prop board. I bought all of this stuff. I soldered it. I put it together. Made my first lightsaber out of Home Depot parts. It was freaking awesome. My nephew loved it. He swung it around. He thought it was awesome. I made him one, and after a few whacks here and there, they both died. Both of them got fried. Okay, and after that, that's when I decided to. Look, I already went through all that effort. I made it. It worked. And I said, screw it, I'm going to go for the easier route, and I'm going to get one of these things. All right, this is a proffieboard. Still, also open source. If you wanted to build this yourself, you really could. Everything is here. The schematics are all here. If you can read this, more power to you, okay? This, I have no idea what the fuck I'm looking at here. All right, so I had no intention of making this, all right? No shot. No fucking shot. So what I did was I just bought the board. Okay, I bought the proffieboard. All right, this is an open source board. It has a bunch of features, as you were able to see from the lightsaber. I was swinging it around. It has something called smooth swing, that the intensity of the hum from the sound is based off of movement. So it's got a lot of really cool features, and it has everything you need here. It This is the different places that you could buy the boards from. All right. The parts list. So you're gonna need a proffieboard. You're gonna need wires of various colors and lengths and thicknesses and gauges or whatever. A battery as well. Speaker. The software. The software is here. Go download the software and you could use this with the board. You could program. You don't need to know how to program to get the board to do a bunch of stuff, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. All right, it's not as intuitive as some other controllers out there, but I wanted something open source. Okay, now if you don't want something open source, you could, get another type of board if you wanted to make it yourself, or hell, you don't even need to go that route. You could literally just buy a pre-made lightsaber, but if you want to at least try to say that you made it, you could buy like a core, like something like this that's already put together. Come on, slow internet, let's go. Alright, well, while that loads, I'll give you details here. Anyway, alright, forget that. Alright, so there's a lot of different stuff that you could do here. He kind of shows off the one he made here. Alrighty. So this is kind of where everything is. This is where I started my journey when I first made mine. Alright, and he goes over how to do a lot of different things. So, for example, this is the one that I have. I have the version 2. There's a version 3 out. It shows exactly what all this stuff is, what each of these parts are. Here's a wiring diagram on how to solder all the pieces, right? And for example, this thing. Here, look, check this out. Let me go over here. And you can choose a bunch of different stuff. So this is the connector right here. This is the connector that I used for my blade. And again, it just shows a wiring diagram. It shows you how to do everything. All right. You could set up different. For example, I have the illuminated PCB, but I also have a crystal chamber. Right. So once I do that, now it shows a different wiring diagram. Right. And on top of that, it even shows you how to go about making the actual blade itself. So for example, I had the LED strips, wired it to a connector. I didn't use this connector. I'll show you the connector that I bought and I used, which I think is a way easier way of going about doing this than these kinds of connectors. But you essentially get, again, there's a part list here on the top, clear tube. The diffuser. There's a bunch of stuff here. And like he links to everything. So you could do it this way. You could do it on your own if you really wanted to build everything yourself. Alright? I mean, for me, it was a matter of pride, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'm a prideful person. I like the idea that I made my lightsaber. It's exactly how I wanted it, you know? So, speaking of which, so this man right here, again, he created that board, and over time, other people started contributing to a bunch of different stuff, like features. So, for example, this right here, FET263, this website's amazing. So, this looks a little overwhelming, but he has a link to the operating system or the software for the board. It's called a proffieboard, so the Proffi OS is for the proffieboard. He goes over updating it, how to go about doing so. I believe it's on here. It just links right back to this website. So there you go. Updating it, same thing. So he goes over all the information for how to update your proffieboard. Okay. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of documentation if you wanted to do this on your own. All right. Now this right here is what you're gonna definitely want to use. Okay. And this right here is what lets you program all sorts of crazy effects for your lightsaber. Right. So for example, let me go to the library here, and you can find a style. Okay. And if you don't, as soon as you come across this, you're gonna be like, what the hell is all this crap? Right? It's okay. Don't sweat it. He's got videos for each of these effects. Okay. Each of these effects for all of them. Okay. So for example, here's a Kylo Ren, like that effect. Okay. And if you wanted this effect, what you would need to do is you would go over here, right? You would pick the style, right? So we'll just pick that one. He shows what they both look like, okay? And you're gonna pick main blade, right? Now, if you wanted to do a crystal chamber, kind of like how I did, you would first do the main blade and then do the crystal chamber, and you would add it, right? So, like for example, main blade, right? That's what it's gonna look like. You can change the color of it if you want, right? So you don't have to actually program anything. You could just see, and it's kind of give you an idea of what it's gonna look like. And then once you're done, most of the stuff doesn't have to be messed around with. But if you ever do get to the point where you make one of these, or if you buy one that has a proffieboard, you could use this to customize the effects. Okay? There's a lot of different options here. A lot of them. Okay? He has documentation for all of this stuff. So what you would do is you would click on Get Style Code. You would click I agree. And it would copy it to your clipboard. So all you would have to do is paste that code into the proffieboard. Okay, I'm not gonna really show you how to do that. Like I said, this is not a tutorial, but I just wanted to just kind of show you how in depth and crazy this thing has gotten. It's pretty fantastic. I've always dreamed about like having my own lightsaber and making one, and it's just, like I said, it's just crazy where technology has gone to be able to make one of these things. So. But yeah, basically between these two websites, if you ever get a lightsaber with a proffieboard, this website and this website are your go-tos. All right. So aside from that, this is where now it loaded. This is where I got my parts once I kind of upgraded from the Home Depot stuff. Now, like I said, if you don't feel comfortable with soldering, obviously you're going to need a soldering iron if you're going to solder wires and stuff like that to this proffieboard. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, you could always buy one of these cores, right? It's already, wired up. It's already set up. Has the connector already in there. And all you really have to do is just slide it into the metal pieces that you buy from here. Now, you could buy an entire empty saber, like replicas, and usually it'll tell you if the core, if the core is compatible with it and stuff like that. You just gotta match it up together. Now, what I ended up doing was this. I went to this modular hilt system thing, and I got, for example, the blade holder. That would be like the emitter. See? And you can get all of these pieces and kind of mix and match them. The easiest way to do this would be to go down here where it says MHS Builder. Okay, so once this thing loads, then you can go ahead and you can just go. I usually like to start with like the blade holder, or the emitter, as they're called sometimes, right? And then you could go ahead and you could do something like, you know, let's grab that, put that there, and then you get a pommel. Alright, so we'll go ahead and go with something like, damn this mouse wheel. This is actually, I think, one of the ones that I picked. Alright. So then you can go ahead and you get a main body here, right? There you go. Put that together with that. Put that together with this. Okay. And there you go. Alright, so obviously this is like the most basic ass thing you could do, but just to give you an idea, you can get these different parts here. You can get something that has like openings so that the crystal chamber is visible. You can opt for them to put like a hole so you can get the button, like for example a button like switches. Here we go, momentary, guarded, let's go one of these. You could request them to do like a little hole, and then you could put this button in there, or you could have two buttons if you want. It's up to you. There's honestly the options are kind of limitless. There's so many different things that you could do. So yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and kind of share this nerdy thing with you all. It's something a little bit different. I have other Linux stuff in the pipeline that I want to kind of go over, but obviously there's other things that I am also interested in, and I just kind of wanted to throw that out there, and maybe somebody else might be interested in it as well. If this is something that you are interested in, if this is something you think is pretty cool, if you want more information on it, if you want, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if this is something you want to see a little bit more of. I kind of want to make another one at some point, not right now. I actually finished this one a few months ago, so I'm good for now, but I'm sure at some point I might get the itch to make another one down the line. You know, maybe test out trying to make like a double-bladed lightsaber or something. But either way, let me know what you think. If this is something you want to see more of, let me know. If you want me to just kind of just shut up and go back to Linux stuff, then yeah, just let me know about that as well. Have a good one.